Grenade Mercenary is the safest League starter choice in Return of the Ancients. Grenades have been used to win races, to set speedrun PBs, and to crush all content on trash gear. In this gameplay footage, I'm wearing no items that have any tier 1 modifiers, and the only unique I'm wearing cost me 1 exalt. Here are the map and tablet modifiers, so you can see this is real endgame mapping. With the written guide below, you'll be able to blow up every campaign boss with them, just like this map boss, where the death animation took longer than the fight itself. This build guide will answer all of your questions, get you online early, scale with cheap gear, and carry you all the way to pinnacles, like tier 3 Xesh't, even if you have complete junk for equipment. Grenades are a beginner-friendly archetype, cheap to get online, ridiculously tanky, and very, very easy to use. They're also one of the most exciting League start options. Gemling Legionnaire now gives alternate quality scaling to all skills, which is going to provide crazy new options for every skill in the game. Armor and Evasion got massive buffs, improving the already potent defenses of the Witch Hunter's Sorcery Ward. And we got a new weapon base, just for us. Charthan Cannons are going to shake up the meta, potentially allowing us to go further and faster with their unique grenade-oriented modifiers, especially tuned for our build. Redemption, the new chase-unique version of the Charthan Cannon, will allow us to overcome the main limitations of grenades, completely bypassing their cooldowns and maximizing our attack speed, so we can blast away with explosive fervor.
Yeah! Hit the dirt!
Despite being safe, stable, and proven time over time, grenades are very exciting this league in particular, with question marks abounding and ample opportunity for new discoveries. What will the Gemling Legionnaire's alternate quality do for our skills? And what are the possible modifiers for Charthan Cannons? How good will they be? And for that matter, will Redemption be impossibly rare and expensive? Or are we all going to be blasting with it on day 2? This build guide, based upon thousands of hours of speedrun practice, aims to put you in a safe and consistent position for day 1 mapping and pinnacle progression. And then, once we can see if the Gemling Legionnaire is good, and what Charthan Cannons can do, transition you to those, so you can play with the shiny new toys. And if the toys don't sparkle, we can stay on this build all the way through the league, or use the Witch Hunter's crazy defenses to transition to any bow, crossbow, or spear skill that you like. This build will use a single, common unique to completely transform our build and tree. Valako's Vice is a level 45 pair of armor and evasion gloves that give big attack speed, chunky stats, huge lightning resistance, and, most importantly, convert our fire damage to lightning. This allows us to do multiple, very valuable things. The first is to have guaranteed access to shock, and therefore Herald of Thunder. Herald of Thunder allows us to improve our full screen clear ability, a place where many grenade builds typically struggle during early progression. The second reason for Valakos is that we'll be able to use voltaic grenades, which apply a debuff that causes all other lightning damage to deal electrocute buildup, allowing us to easily lock down threatening rare and unique enemies while still doing massive damage. Finally, having all of our damage concentrated on a single element makes it much easier for us to optimize our on-tree damage bonuses, saving us points that we can spend elsewhere, on defenses, ailment immunities, mobility, and other quality of life. If you want the full written planner with act-by-act tree progression, skills, and gear, check the description down below. The build comes online early in Act 1. You can get Explosive Grenade as a skill gem from Remley, and socket it with both Multi-Shot 1 and Elemental Armament 1. To help with our early campaign damage, we take Frost Bomb, which applies elemental exposure. We'll be using this for bosses until the end of Act 2. As we progress, keep an eye out for crossbow upgrades, as well as flat damage on both rings and gloves. You can use my item filter and Regex setup to help with this. Both will be live before the patch, and you can check the pinned comment for updates or come and get them from me on Twitch. When we reach level 6, we get Flash Grenade, which, due to its short detonation timer, will be a significant boost to our ability to quickly dispatch weak enemies. We cut the same 2 supports, Multi-Shot and Elemental Armament, for this skill, planning to steal them later for other skills. When you kill the king in Freythorn, use the Spirit on Herald of Ash. Grenades at this point already do huge single target, and this will help us where we're hurting, our area of effect. We do ample overkill damage, so just set it and forget it, and add magnified area when you can. At level 14, we unlock Gas Grenade, which is our best bossing skill, and will remain our best bossing skill throughout the progression. It has a dramatically shorter cooldown and faster detonation time than Explosive Grenade, so our plan here will be to use Explosive to ignite enemies, and then to use that ignite to consume wave after wave of gas grenades. In Act 2, our progression is simple. We upgrade Multi-Shot 1 and Elemental Armament 1 to Multi-Shot 2 and Elemental Armament 2 on every grenade. And that's it. That's the entire plan. It's that simple to play the best progression build in the entire game. Congratulations on your future speedrun championships. My only note here is that you need to invest heavily in a good varnished crossbow. There's a huge improvement in weapon quality at level 16, so we need to find a good base and go all in with our currency. Save your Act 1 Regals, Exalts, Artificer's Orbs, and Runes for this weapon. It is going to be our close friend for quite a while. When we get our first Jeweler's Orb from the League mechanic in Buried Shrines, we take our first Quality of Life item of the build, Short Fuse Support on Explosive Grenade. This will allow us to massively reduce their detonation time, making it dramatically easier to hit highly mobile enemies. In maps, we'll eventually be switching over to a build based on Explosive Shot, but for now, you have to use this. We have very limited tree passives and other resources available at this point, and Explosive Shot is very clunky without some help to improve its reload speed. As an optional upgrade to your damage, you can take a level 7 skill gem and cut Ferocious Roar. This will give us free access to immediate maximum rage against bosses, which is a 30% more attack damage bonus. I recommend it strongly, but it's not going to be absolutely necessary if you don't like the skill rotation. Late in Act 2, you should ascend to the Witch Hunter Ascendancy, even though we may plan to move over to Gemling Legionnaire in the endgame. Take Sorcery Ward. Sorcery Ward is stupefyingly strong, taking away some of our armor and evasion and giving us a regenerating defensive layer that absorbs hit damage for us. Together with ailment immunities we'll be taking in the endgame, we're going to be ridiculously tanky. Upon entering Act 3, in the Sandswept Marsh we get our second Lesser Jeweler's Orb of the run, from a fixed spawn rare encounter, and use it, together with our first level 3 support gem, to add Elemental Focus to Gas Grenade, improving our bossing damage even further. Here we'll get the weapon that will carry us to maps, the Bombard Crossbow. This weapon is the reason that grenades are overpowered for leveling and that they've won the races. A completely free grenade is a substantive upgrade, and paired with a new tier of weapon modifiers unlocking at the same time, we have a great chance for a huge power spike. If you're playing Trade League, this is the first time that you should be looking to trade for something. Look for high lightning or fire damage. If you're playing SSF, grab every bombard you can from the ground and vendors and pay close attention to which has the best modifiers, before spending all of your remaining currency and quality items on this weapon. You need this weapon to be good, and you must go all in, praying to Chris Wilson and David Brevik that you get what you need. If you end up with a bad weapon, fret not. Even a mediocre bombard crossbow will carry you smoothly through Act 3, and you can try again with a Blackfire crossbow in Act 4 as a backup. Level 9 skill gems give us our fourth grenade skill, Oil Grenade. This will allow us to apply elemental exposure to enemies. Supports like Potent Exposure, Magnified Area, and Persistent Ground will help us keep it applied to large swaths of enemies from here on out. Now that we have a bombard crossbow and our complete grenade rotation, our damage is as strong as it'll need to be to get us to at least level 50, so we pivot to fixing our defenses on the tree. The new tree updates give us easy access to huge amounts of armor and evasion nodes. In campaign, you should be wearing armor, but in the endgame we'll pivot to pure evasion and deflection, with these nodes helping us in both cases. Take Sakawal's Talon and Sakawal's Hide early, and follow the guide to see the other options in more detail. With our second ascension, we take Ceremonial Ablution, which allows our Sorcery Ward to apply to elemental and chaos damage, finalizing our defensive layers for our campaign progression. With the spirit we get from Azak Bog, take Herald of Thunder. It might not be relevant now, but it will be relevant later. Pass go, kill Doriani, collect $200, and proceed to Act 4. In Act 4, you will notice my item filter starts to aggressively highlight white plated gauntlets. These are the chancing baits we need in solo self-found to virtually guarantee a copy of Valako's Vice. They have a 50% chance to hit, so it'll only take a few opportunities to guarantee them in your early progression. If you're playing Trade League, keep 1 or 2 exalts in your back pocket to snatch a pair, putting priority on getting ones with good lightning resistance and decent attack speed. Treat everything else as a luxury. Act 4 progression for our build is quite simple, but there are a few notes. Once you have a pair of Valakos, you can swap your support gems over to Lightning Attunement and Innervate, but hold off on this if you don't have Valakos yet. As soon as you have Valakos, even if this occurs later, like in early maps, add Voltaic Grenades to your boss rotation, helping to electrocute bosses and hold them down. Check the shop for items with good resistances frequently in Act 4. This is going to increasingly matter as you progress. You can check the shop every other level up, and keep pushing. Once you've killed Tavakai, be on the lookout for hybrid defensive items, those with both armor and evasion, that have a deflection suffix. This will help us transition to our desired early mapping setup. Try to transition your chest piece last, and ensure it has a good flat armor and evasion roll in its prefixes, even if it specifically doesn't have any deflection. If you have an Essence of Enhancement from the campaign, this is the time and place to spend it. Progressing from the Interludes is straightforward, but of major note is acquiring Wind Dancer with our final Spirit upgrade, and socketing Blind into it. With the changes to the deflection formula, Blind is more important than ever, and this will be of major benefit to our overall survivability. At level 59, you can start to find Cannonade crossbows, the stronger sister of our Bombard, and grabbing and investing in one of these is what will push you to and through maps. Your tree at this point will look like this, and from here we have 2 goals. Save up currency and items to fully switch to full evasion and deflection defenses, and meet the conditions to get the maximum benefits from nodes like crystallized immunities and tolerant equipment. To do this, we'll be using the more abundant skill and support gems in maps to meet the red support gem requirements. You should also look to progress your maps aggressively, as getting to level 79 will provide you the 3rd in our triptych of grenade-focused crossbows, the Siege crossbow. It is around this point, in your late 70s or early 80s, where you should plan to transition to full evasion deflection, and to make your final crossbow upgrade. Stay tuned for a self-craft guide in the next week or so, as soon as we have more options online. If you end up with lots of currency, your first big-budget baller buy should be the lineage support Rotha's Assault, which reloads your crossbow when you roll, allowing you to comfortably switch to explosive shot. You do not need Rothas before you switch to explosive shot, but this item, which typically costs fewer than 15 divines in the first couple of days of the League, is the first vital upgrade for the build to be fully online. You probably have more questions, and I want to answer them, but the script is long already, and this is merely a progression guide. Check the pinned comment for an FAQ. There's a lot more to be said about how to progress this build in the long arc of the League, like using a Lavianga's spirits to get 100% uptime on nodes like Crystal Elixir and Stimulants, or finding Esh's Radiance and Rakiata's Flow to push our damage to insane heights, or even further, finding a Hyri's Ire to double our evasion and therefore our Sorcery Ward. But all of those progression options depend on what Trarthan Cannons, Redemption, and the Gemling Legionnaire can actually do. Look for an update from me at the 2 and 5 day marks of the League, for an update on what the late game meta will be like, or come by my Twitch to learn alongside me as we start to get notes and discover things together. Stay sane, Exiles, and happy Leaguestart.